We'll chew the fat with my guest today, who's a very important person in my career. When JJ left, he took over as captain as well.
He didn't leave, by the way. The boss took the captaincy off him and gave it to me.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. England didn't bother me one bit. I was just so interested in Bolton, I weren't bothered about England. And he went, "You ever toss my training session off again, you will know about it, son." And I went like that. I went, "That's what I've just come in to say, sorry, Gaffer."
James McClean has said that Declan Rice is overrated. What did you think about that?
Who is he?
Yeah. I didn't want to say, but I mean...
Who is he, James McClean? Who is he?
And it's time for another of our Euro special episodes of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. Hey, Sam.
Natalie, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Well, I've just come from Liverpool University doing a Q&A with Sammy Lee on the young managers, coaches, on the diploma they're on there. So they're obviously doing a couple of weeks, and I'm just doing an hour and a half Q&A, which was really nice to see the young faces looking at you thinking, you know, I used to be there many years ago, trying to take it all in, trying to learn from more experienced managers that used to come in. So hopefully we've given them a few pointers and helped them with their future careers, you know.
Of course, Sammy Lee, friend of the podcast, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Sammy never changes. You know, he's a bubbly character, and when you have him on your side, he's fully behind you. You know, so yeah, it was good to see him. I haven't seen him for a while, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And then obviously straight over here,
we appreciate
to talk about this miserable performance, no doubt, what we saw last night. I was hoping I'd be a lot happier and to smile a little bit more than I'm going to be smiling. But, you know, we'll chew the fat with my guest today, who's a very important person in my career. A young man, when he started off at Bolton, ended up being captain, chose a career change to join me at West Ham when he was top in the Premier League at Newcastle. So it's a great pleasure to have Nobby or alias Kevin Nolan coming along and doing the podcast. Kevin, great to see you, pal.
Good to see you, Gaffer.
Kevin, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being
Nobby
here.
That's why I smiled.
Yeah!
I've known Nobby for a long time. Well, obviously the Gaffer gave me that name. I remember it was in Denmark, pre-season trip, and Mike Whitlow just continued to call me all through the trip, and that's where it come from. And he said, "You're like a young Nobby Styles." That's what he called me, and then that's where he went to.
It's a decent compliment, by the way.
But I think he just said it off the cuff just because I'd done something in training. It was just like looked like a young Nobby Styles there, Kev. And then Wits, who was like he was brilliant for me in my career, him, Goodney and all them type of lads, Per Franson, all the older heads. But yeah, I mean, this man, I can't, wax lyrical about him enough, because what he done for me, for my career, and to hear that, nice introduction from him was, go straight to the heart.
I imagine for a lot of football fans, me included, when I think of Bolton of that era, I think of you. Then I think of you, like thinking of Bolton from that time. I see the two of you, and then I see like JJ and some of those. But you're so synonymous, the two of you, for me, for Bolton of that era. So I imagine you know our Sam pretty well. Did you ever think that he would be a podcast host?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, I love this
Not
podcast.
At all.
I love this podcast, man.
Yeah, but the thing is,
unbelievable.
But because of who he is, and I think it's a shame if he's not in football and he's not doing these things, because for me he was such a massive figure. He was a father figure for me in football and type of that, and the Gaffer knows all my family and how close I am, and I've got a straight really close bond with everyone. Mm-hmm. But this man in my career would just anything. And I still got, texts on me, what I look back to this day, things what he used to send me or things like that. And I've still kept him, just reminding myself. And if there's anything I know that he's always there for me on the other end of the phone. And that's unbelievable, because you think about what he did, and you're talking about Bolton and the boss, the Gaffer being, he was the focus, and we all we were led by him, but we believed in him. And because of what he brought to all of us, he made us all better. Especially the players. I mean, you just reeled off JJ. You've got to think about Ivan Campo, Yori Djorkaeff before JJ. He was an unbelievable boss. Fernando Hierro come.
Kevin sort of didn't get enough credit for what he was and who he did and gave him enough credit. We gave him enough credit because when JJ left, he took over as captain as well.
He didn't leave, by the way. The boss took the captaincy off him and gave it to me.
Well, that's true.
He was still
but
there.
You know what I mean? So it was a moment I felt that, there was a lot of talk about whether he could handle it because I think he was, 20?
I was 23, yeah.
23.
Just turned 23.
And then it didn't plays, but he always looked like he was comfortable, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people you can make captain and it puts them off the game. The responsibility makes them play worse instead of playing better. But he had big broad shoulders so he could handle the responsibility, I think. And then for me, then even better when he came down to, because Bolton was fine then. It was all smooth, plain sailing. The only thing we needed to do was have more of an investment from the board. Yeah. If we'd have had more investment and stopped them stop being so goddamn tight, we'd have gone Champions League. Yeah. We were ready for it. We were nearly there, and that spoilt it because that stopped them. That stopped me being at Bolton Wanderers. That made the biggest decision in my life to listen to my head and not my heart. My heart said I have to stay. My head said if you don't leave now, it'll all go wrong, which unfortunately for Bolton it did when I left. So, but Kevin was coming to West Ham. He dropped down from the Premier League, but Newcastle, to join us at West Ham on a difficult period, and said, "Look, I'll handle the dressing room. You know, you get on with managing, like you mean." So I didn't want any tittle tattle. I just needed to know the big stuff. If there was big stuff causing a problem, and I needed to know if there was a little stuff. So he could do it. He could do two captain's roles. If you hear him talk about it, he's a good captain off the field and on the field. He was both. So one of the main reasons we actually won promotion our first season together, and kept West Ham in the Premier League for 3 years then.
I mean, I just listened to the gaffer there, and I remember them days, you know, when he gave me the captaincy, and I remember being at Charlton, and Gary Speed and JJ had both been injured, and you know, Gary Speed, God rest his soul, like Speed, he was brilliant when he was brilliant for me. Fantastic. You know, he's someone who helped me a lot as well in the dressing room. So it was quite easy, but I remember the day, and it was at Charlton away, and I'd been captain because them two had been out, and Gary was obviously the vice. JJ was the captain of the club at the time, and we come into Charlton, and he hadn't told me, but when I got there, he told Speedo that I was going to be captain, but Speedo hadn't said nothing. I got there, and the captain armband, obviously the kit man lays all your kit out and everything's all there, and the captain's armband's on my kit, and I've looked at it and looked at Speedo who's next to me, and I've gone, and he's gone, "No, you're captain today." And I was like, the emotion that went through me was like unbelievable. Look, turned around at him. He wasn't bothered, just looking at the programme, but he knew, obviously, because he knew he was waiting for it. And then as I walked out, obviously led the team out for the warm-up and all that. And I remember I scored the goal, and it was just like, and then that's the week after, that's when he gave me the captaincy. He pulled me in. And I remember being in tears when he told me because of how much it meant to him, but because he trusted me with that. So I knew that I was always going to do anything I could and everything I could for him. And that was the biggest thing. So even fast forward and on, I remember the day we were coming back, and we'd been training away from the training ground, and we were coming back to the ground, and he broke my heart because he said, "I'm going to be leaving." And I was like, "What?" I remember going home, excuse me, I remember going home, and he probably won't remember this, but I remember going home to my dad, and I was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do, like the boss is leaving, like the gaffer's leaving, he's leaving us, he shouldn't be leaving us, like we need him," and that, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be leaving because of what he's just said about the financial restrictions, what he was put under, and you know, because he was getting every inch out of us. I mean, we were way ahead of everybody in terms of, you know, people talk about Arsene Wenger bringing, you know, things into football, and what we were doing with the squad, and the, you know, the size of our squad, and getting the last out of obviously lads who were supposedly finished and everything else was unbelievable. That was due to him building a great backroom staff, what he'd done. And then obviously I went to Newcastle. I was doing really well. I scored 12 goals that year in the Premier League. It was my best output.
Yeah.
And I was captain there. And I got a phone call. I was in Dubai, I remember it, and my agent, the gaffer's agent, my
agent
mate
as well.
Yeah, so it was my so he's my mate, and he's still my mate now. You know, speak to him regularly. He helps me out with everything, and he always has helped me out. And I never call him my agent. I've always said he's my mate, because he is. He's a good friend of mine. He's very close to all my family, and he rang me.
We've never had a contract between us.
No, me neither.
Just went,
yeah,
right, you know,
just
let's
advice.
do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and he literally just rang me in Dubai, and I remember we were there. I was with Steve Harper, who was at Newcastle at the time, and he went, Sam's going to West Ham. I was like, brilliant. I went, and he went, do you want to go? And I went, yeah.
In an instant?
In an instant. Didn't even think about it, didn't think about Newcastle, and it was just, I would love to work with him again, and that was it. And that's how easy it was. And I remember getting off the phone and thinking, oh no, I've got to now tell the missus that we're now moving to London after taking her to Newcastle. So
sad for the wives, you know. People don't realise how hard it is for your wives and your family, like when you've got to have boots will travel.
Yeah, she was like, we're not. And I was like, we are. So I ended up having a big argument at the pool after that, because I was going to West Ham, and she was like, she just finally settled and had friends and everything else in Newcastle. And then it was like upheaval to go back down south. So, and Ailey, my wife, I've been together with her since I was 14. So we'd lived in Liverpool all our lives. And then to take it to Newcastle, to sort of to actually then settle and then go, no, we're going to London. But listen, she's a tough old cookie, and she got on with it.
And less of the old.
I was about to say, don't let her watch
we are old now.
I am old. You're
I
not
don't
old.
mean old, but I mean we're old now compared to when we were 15. You know what I mean? And been together 27 years, so it feels like But she got on with it, and she's done a great job in looking after everything behind me, and while I was able to focus. But being able to join him again back at West Ham, and I knew. And he talked about the dressing room. The dressing room was split. It was a bit, it had a lot of players gone out. There was a lot of toxic going on in and around West Ham. And I remember meeting the chairman for the first time. And he said, "You're going to sort us out, aren't you?" And I was like, "No, I just come in and do what we do." And to be fair, as he said, I run the dressing room, and whenever there was a problem, but the amount of arguments we had was unbelievable. I think we had more arguments at West Ham in the first 6 months than we ever did at Bolton, because, as he said, everything was playing. It was just everything new. But going toe to toe, him having a go at players, me sort of sticking up for the players looking at me as if to say, "Are you on our side? Or are you with him?" And it was so there was a lot of that, and I felt a lot of that, But because of our relationship, I always felt, and I always knew where the line was, and let me be honest, like
he was always on the player side, like he should be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Apart from sometimes he couldn't defend the indefensible. Sometimes, could he? You know,
like
what I mean?
can't defend the Carlton Cole walking in at 10:30. You know what I mean? When we're supposed to be in at 9:30, I can't defend that. But the gaffer he just come in with that cheeky grin, wouldn't he? And you just laugh and just go, "It's all right. It's a little bit more money in your pot, innit?" And so
paid for the Dubai trip. You know what I mean?
Carlton Cole.
Well, he helped to. It was a good big contribution. You know what I mean?
Of course, you just recently left West Ham. You were there with David Moyes.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy that? Yeah,
I loved it. Obviously the European, it's been a really good experience for me. And, because I went in as a manager at Notts County, and I'd done a lot of the things what I'd learned from the boss, and, to sort it out. We did lost 10 on the spin at the time, and I kept them up very comfortably. I was really enjoying my time, but unfortunate, chairman at the time, he wanted to get involved with it a lot more, so it just started lockerheads, and that's the
usual.
Yeah,
I immediately looked at you because I knew you'd be nodding.
And unfortunately, I lost my job after 4 or 5 games of the next season after just losing the semi-finals, the playoffs. So it was like, what do I do next? And then, David got the West Ham job. He did, and I was told that he wasn't allowed to take the staff he had previously in and all that. So I just gave him a ring and just said, "Look, I'd love to come and work with you. I know West Ham, I know a lot of the players still there, and to help you, and because they were in a bit of trouble as well." And we managed to keep them in the Premier League again after really, and it was a tough one. So to be part of that, and then next season finished 6th, and then we went into Europe, and all the COVID and everything else. It was really interesting, for me as a coach, sitting back and watching it from a different angle and everything else, and learning a lot from David, as well as just learning, because at Notts County, we had my office was in the training ground, and we trained 40 minutes away. So I had to try and change things, but because I'd work with him, it never ever flustered me. It was like, because he always gave me a lot of confidence and that dressing room mentality where I obviously managed that, or not managed it, but was a big part of that.
Yeah.
It never flustered me. So I think that helped me in that side, and now going to work with David showed me a different way and what he is, because he's a very hands-on, like, wants to do a lot of it himself, and you're just sort of in and around him, whereas the gaffer was more, you go on, you take ownership of that, but I'm going to overlook it and make sure, and I'll step in when I need to be. So yeah, I mean, two totally different managers, and so it's always nice to get different outlooks. But yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed it, winning a European competition, semi-finals and of a major one again, then a quarter-finals, and to go out with the way we did was unlucky, because we hit Leverkusen, who were probably the best team. They only lost it to the final. That was the last game. So,
was unbelievable, wasn't it?
So yeah, I mean, and we lost when we got to the semi-finals, we lost to them winners again in Europa. So yeah, we've done something right, and I'm very proud of that. But now it's obviously next chapter, and hopefully move on.
So what is that then? Would you like to?
Just you've got to tell him before I forget, because you might not.
Oh yes.
Tell him the stats.
Yes. So we are now, I think it's 13, Sam.
Right.
So we've had, I think, 13 guests of the podcast
Who weren't working
when they came on, and then they got
Right.
a job after the podcast.
Well, fingers and legs
There
and
you go,
toes
then.
crossed.
So would you like to be Yes.
We just started off right, and then all of a sudden that's just kept popping up, saying, he's got another job, another job. So we've always said it, like, when you come on and somebody's not working at that particular time, we've got really good stats, haven't we?
Yeah. So you want to be number 14?
I do.
Yeah.
Coaching or managing?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I think it's just opportunity, and the gaffer
Stay in
will
the
tell
game
you,
where you can. Stay in the game.
And exactly when I had the conversation with David Moyes, I thanked him, and he was thanking me for it, and he just said, as soon as you can get back in the game, get back in, and that's what I want to do. I love football. I live and breathe it, and I want to be back in. So yeah, I mean, whatever opportunity comes up, and I think it's the right one, I'll be back in.
Well, we hope that we'll keep an eye out, and we hope that you'll add to our stats.
Yeah.
There's one man I always hope that won't add to the stats, and this is our Sam here. And I always like to check in.
Just to let you know, I'm gutted that he's decided to sort of take a sit back, because I would love to be being under him as a player. I would love to now be in the staff with him, because everybody, all the staff, I've never seen a man adored by his staff. I've been back at West Ham, and everybody at West Ham, I must say this, everybody at West Ham still asks about him. Do you speak to Sam? All the staff who were there then, because of the way and how humble he was and how lovely he was to them and the way he treated everybody, they just loved him. So for me, it's
blushing.
bittersweet.
Hey, a little bit. Well, there's a job that's just come up about an hour ago, before we started filming this. I asked you about this a couple of weeks ago as a hypothetical, but around about an hour and a half ago, the Wales job has become available. So that is definitely a job that's out there now.
Wales,
International Wales. I asked you a couple of weeks ago, but obviously it was hypothetical then. Will you be throwing your hat in the ring for Wales?
I've had quite a few Welsh coaches, and know them quite well. Ryland, who's my Doctor of Sports Science, who worked for Wales, and Chris Coleman. So you never know if you get on the short list whether they'll interview you. Like I mean, so
do you want to be on the short list?
Well, I'd always take an interview. I wouldn't turn an interview down just to see how it lay. Like I mean, you got a team that's that's done brilliantly over the last few years, absolutely brilliantly. But what's the next? Who are the next generation? Where are the next generation? Where's the next Gareth Bale? Or teams like that always have to have one special player. You see it with the other countries, like they have one special player that can actually make the expectations for the nation greater than what they think, because they can turn a game at any time or win a game for you any time. Like I mean, so as a whole, Wales has always been very well structured, and Gareth Bale has obviously done so much to get them to so many places because of his outstanding quality in the end. And you always whatever level you're playing at, you always need that.
So if Sam was to get the Wales job, would you international coaching? What do you think?
I'd work with him on anything. As soon as he rang me and said, "Do you want to do this podcast?" I was like, "Yeah." I didn't even mutter anything. It was just yeah. So
I'm just going to tell the Welsh FA right now. I'm taking a cut. I need a percentage these two end up at Wales. Okay, just to make that nice and clear. Right, back to the Euros because of course we're in the midst of the Euros.
No.
So we should start by saying I just got back. So since we filmed on Monday, this is Friday. So I flew. Well, no, I got the 3 trains on Tuesday. Flew back late last night, so I was in Cologne for the Scotland game. Scotland versus Switzerland.
Yeah.
I'm Scottish with an English voice. I've been explaining that all week.
So you were happy with the result last night then?
Do you know what? I'm not. I don't care whether England win or lose. Like
Just
I'm not.
want them to win the tournament.
I don't. No, I'd rather they didn't.
Yeah.
But having said that, because I'm a Man City fan, I want John Stones, Kyle Walker, and Phil Foden to be incredible. But then I want that for all the City players. But honestly, I've had the best time, Sam. I don't know if either of you have ever been as a fan to the Euros. I have had the best 3 days, pretty much the best 3 days I've ever had. Like alongside the Champions League final and like numerous FA Cup finals that I've been lucky to be in.
Very fortunate. Yeah.
Oh, Sam, it was amazing.
You had to make it Man City and doing that. You had some great stuff.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, Sam.
Right,
Did you watch the Scotland game on TV?
I did, yeah. I watched it.
The national anthem.
All the way through, like you mean. So my allegiance to Scotland's still quite strong because of my parents being Scottish, of course, as you well know. And I think that obviously it doesn't overweigh the England thing, but to see Scotland bounce back,
Bit of fight,
yep, bit more close to winning it, and then close to losing it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the one that hit the post, and then the lad who missed the header at the other end.
Yeah.
So it really could have gone either way, but probably a draw was a fair result in the end. And
some goal against them, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, some finish.
Oh, what a I mean,
yeah. I mean,
what was his name? The fullback who passed that ball to him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
he must still be having nightmares over that.
Yeah, we had a little bit of issue down that right hand side. Shall we say?
Yeah.
I felt,
Yeah.
but overall,
well, Ali McCoy were going mad about it.
Yeah.
Get him some help.
Yeah.
He needs
That's
some help. Get him some help.
People around me were shouting, "Help him! Help him!"
Get him some help because he's instead of doubling up for him,
he was getting isolated.
He's getting isolated too much, and he was struggling to cope with him. Like I mean, but
shout out to Gordon Strachan. We had Gordon with us on Monday. He predicted 1-1.
Yeah.
Gordon then predicted that Scotland will beat Hungary and qualify. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
So you didn't have any trouble with transport or anything like that, like everybody else?
My plane was badly delayed coming back, but that was nothing to do with UEFA. I booked a hotel that was a half-hour walk from the stadium because my dad's 70. I just didn't want to get involved with it, so we walked back after the game.
Oh, great!
Getting from the city centre.
Were the inflated prices? Were they?
Unbelievable, Sam. It was unbelievable. Everywhere was it was expensive. It was expensive in the fan zones, in the stadium.
Yeah, ridiculous prices, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was €6 for a soft drink. Yeah. So I was just having a soft drink, and then you had to pay €3 deposit on your cup. So it was €9 for a drink. And then when I tried to take my cup back at the end of the game, the queue was 60, 70 people deep. Yeah. So you took your cup. So it was £9. So it was €9 for
that's what they're hoping for, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know there was that England fan complaining about it cost him £600 to get there and get a ticket and watch that performance, which is kind of sort of what you're going to get when you don't play to your potential. And the expectations so high with the England side, and they've done so much previously, that when you fall down that low, I mean, it was that low that, I mean, the draw was a good result for them last night.
Listen, that's all.
It's a good result for them.
And the thing is, I'm sort of always a positive glass half full guy. And everybody, we went to our local yesterday and watched it there, and we had a bit of food and watched it while we were eating and stuff, and everybody was fuming. Everybody's like, "Oh, we are so bad. This. What are we going to do?" I said, "Look, we're top of the group. We're 4 points. We're going to win the group, which is the most important thing.
You've got to win the group.
We've got to win the group, otherwise, to avoid, and which we expected. And if we get 7 points out of the group, then we've done well again, and it's about sort of growing,
I hope so.
And I think this team will. I do think the Trent thing isn't working, but I can see why he's doing it. I can see why.
Well, I have He stuck to this all the time.
Yeah.
And if we stuck to that where we've been,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
West Ham or Bolton or
Yeah.
what, we'd have never got anywhere.
No.
As far as we got.
Yeah.
Because we were flexible. We were able to cope with
he's rigid.
change.
Yeah.
He's so rigid with this.
Mm.
You know, that it's become predictable to the opposition. The opposition tactically are outweighing the way that England are playing and stopping and blocking them. So actually change like I've said before, you know, where you know they're playing. Alan Shearer was having a meltdown last night on television. They're only playing with one up front.
I've been under Al. I've been
Yeah.
under Al. So
You know what I mean?
him telling someone to do what I
Well,
was
I know
like,
that, I
that
know,
was making
but,
me
yeah,
chuckle.
I know. No, so but like I said, you put Foden inside with
Jude, yeah.
Jude, and you put leaving Declan, who Kevin knows one of the best players in that position. But you know, in the Premier League, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, there's only Rodri I'd sort of put in the same bracket because of what he does for Man City, and you can see he holds it all together. But I totally agree. I think Dec's got to play sort of and have Jude and if Phil directly in front of him now, and we've got to have an outlet on the left because it was just crying out for that yesterday. And whether that's Eze, Gordon, whether you put Cole Palmer there and check him out there for just to see if he can do it. I've seen him do it for Man City under 23s when he was younger. So I've seen him on the left there, seen him up top as a 9, I've seen him as a 7. So I don't know why we're not experimenting that. But you know, I like Gareth. I think he's done an absolutely marvellous job. You know, he got, you know, to get us to a final and then a semi-final and do what he's done. The boss will tell you that it's not easy. The expectation of this country for us every time is we should be winning it, we should be in the latter stages, but it's not easy now because, you know, them teams who you could just roll over years ago previously can't do it now. No. It doesn't happen no more because they had 9 lads who played in the Premier League, by the way, last night in their team, and so you've got to give them some credit that, you know, they're all top players as well, you know. So and they've come and they're playing their best game because it's England. You know, because everyone wants to beat England, and that's it. Everybody raises it, so it's something what they've got to go in. But I think, look, we're in a good position, and yeah, I think with a few tweaks of what the gaffer was just saying there, and I think we could be a more flowing England than what we've seen.
Declan Rice, you mentioned then obviously the fact that you worked with him. Did you see on one of the foreign TV channels, or was it Irish TV? I saw the clip on social media. James McClean has said that Declan Rice is overrated. What did you think about that?
Well, James McClean, I mean, come on.
Who is he?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but I mean...
Who is he, James McClean? Who is he?
I mean, yeah, I really can't because, I think he's just...
That's Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, yeah. Ask all...
What he's done for Arsenal last year.
I mean, Dec, to no one Dec, that would have just made him laugh. And don't get me wrong, he didn't have his best game in an England jersey.
Well, nobody did.
But that's one in, I reckon, 60. He's had one bad game in 60 for England. Because I thought he's been brilliant every time I've watched him.
We've found a new centre-half, haven't we?
Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah. Oh,
been impressed.
That recovery run.
But just to go back to James
somebody
McClean
with pace,
that,
but go on, yeah.
Just to go back to him, I mean, I can't believe he said that. And had the cojones, shall we say, to actually say that, because Declan Rice is one of the best in the world at what he does. You know, as I said,
he might be saying that to keep himself popular on the television. Or
I think that's what it is, isn't it?
You know what I mean? You know, a lot of that criticism seems to be the way of the world today. You want to get, you know, you want to be a pundit, you want to be controversial, and they'll keep you on, like you mean. So
just imagine what Declan Rice thinks of James McClean then. Having to play with him.
Because nothing,
he's the closest thing I've seen to Steven Gerrard. So I've played with Steven Gerrard, against Steven Gerrard for years and years. And
he even forgive Steven Gerrard when he topped him once. Yeah. You forgive him?
I didn't. I got him back, but I didn't want him to get sent off. And he did ring up and say he's sorry, but it was a proper stamp.
It was a good one.
It was a good one, wasn't it? And to be fair, if I was in that position, I would have done it to him. So that's why I would have said to him, I said, you've got away with it. But the referee did bottle it, didn't he?
He did.
He should have sent him off. But yeah, I mean, Deck is the closest thing, like in specimen wise. 1 minute you see him, 1 minute he's gone. You know what I mean? He could play the higher role. What he showed at Arsenal at the time of the season, he can play the lower role. He's got a hell of a strike. He can play. He actually sort of. We were trying to unlock it a bit at West Ham, but you can see it a bit more at Arsenal because he's now, on the ball a lot more. And I think he'll grow into this tournament as well. He's carrying a lot on his shoulders these days, but I think he's handled it.
Just too many of them didn't have a good game. I mean, one goal.
Yeah.
So that's something that Gareth has to work out. And
let's not forget, it was a hell of a strike as well, wasn't it?
I mean, they're all going on about Pickford should have saved it.
No chance.
And he's gone off the
post,
inside of the post. Come through about 6 or 7 bodies, like you mean. And Pick should have saved it, but there we go.
I was stuck in Cologne Airport, so I was listening to it on the radio.
All right.
So yes, I was wondering.
Did you cheer?
No, I didn't.
Because every other Scotland fan did. I know.
The airport was full of Scots, and I expected the cheer to go up, and it didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if everyone was just massively hungover. There's loads of talking points that some key things we've been talking about on the first 2 episodes of the Euro special. You touched on Trent there a second ago.
Gallagher. I don't think Conor Gallagher's the answer either.
Because I was going to say Gallagher's come on for Trent.
No.
Sub in both games.
Yeah.
How have you found that? So you don't think that is the solution going forward?
No, not at this level. I mean, Connor's still a young guy learning his trade, but he's
the captaincy and Chelsea, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's like, his work rate, he's closing down, he's winning the ball back. It's very good, but his passing is not quite the best, or perhaps as good enough yet to warrant that place in. But if he's still stuck on playing 2 in the middle, and he's put Jude back there, because he can do both equally as good. So he can come late and still go forward, and let him go, come late. Might not be spotted as easy, like you mean. That's where he started anyway, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he started in the deeper position.
Got a really interesting story
on
him, because when he was younger, growing up, and someone said, "What are you?" He said, "What do you mean? What am I?" And he said, "Oh, you're a midfielder." He went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what are you? A 4, or 8, or a 10?" And he went, "I'm all of them." So that's why he had 22. That was his number, 22. Yeah. So the girl who I work with, so he went, "I can play them all." So he believed that, and so that was his mentality.
Like that, do you?
When he was young.
Yeah,
when he was younger.
I can do it all.
So when I got told that,
even he had the best of games last night.
No, but
sadly,
I think when you hear that, I thought, "Whoa, what a mentality that was as a young boy," and coming through and everything else. And you can see that he can handle it, because he done it at Birmingham in the Championship at 16 years old. That's not an easy feat to do.
I always say sorry to the Birmingham fans. We all mocked them when they retired his number, and we're not mocking them now. Is it time to say the Trent? Was Trent in midfield an experiment? Is it time to say the experiment's done? Do you think Gareth will change it for the next game?
Yeah, well, but what two is going to be a big question. And like I said, he doesn't look like he's going to change the system.
Why not?
I mean, I don't know why they keep going about Trippier not being balanced on. But he's just as good a fullback at left back as at right back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
and if Luke Shaw's not fit,
well, how many times have I said, why are we playing left footers on the right and right footers on the left?
Yep.
Nobody's complaining about that as if that's like how it should be, but that's never how it was. Before it was always, if you're a left footed, you're on the left and you put crosses in. Now it's about, you got to, these fashions in football get on my nerves. You know what I mean? And everybody think, well, that's it. It's like a low block in it. What's one of them? It's just a deep defensive line, isn't it? What is a group? Well, it's a squad, actually. It's always been a squad, never a group. But somebody got to think up a new word, and they got to introduce a new word and think, oh, aren't I innovated? The game is simple. It's always been simple. The basics are the same. Jose called it out, didn't he? It's gone trendy. He's going to be trendy in the next game, his next coaching position.
Sam Allardyce, innit?
Well, you got all this fluff around the game and it's much more complicated than it actually is. It's not. You get through the lines as quick as you can at the other end, create chances to score goals. You have the best defensive record, you've got no problems.
So you mentioned you don't think that Gareth will change the formation. So Gareth has said in an interview, which I think is really fascinating, that he doesn't have a natural replacement for Kalvin Phillips. Does that
That's a bad statement, though.
That is exactly what I thought.
I think what he was sort of trying to say is that it's come out wrong with what he's saying, and everyone's took it sort of.
But you know what they're like, though.
Yeah, of course. Well, what they done for you.
Yeah. Well, I know that, but oh God, when you drop on one wrong word, you're knackered.
Yeah. When you said what was it?
Wayne Rooney, I did.
Yeah, and then what about when you're at Bolton? When you said about us being a long ball team or whatever. Oh, we play long ball. We play long ball, and we're the new Wimbledon, and everyone just took it as no. Oh yeah, and then but he actually then put the stats out, didn't he? Man United, Liverpool, and I think Arsenal at the time played more long balls than us in the league. So it was like it was unbelievable.
Love that. Yeah.
Love the stats.
Because he loved it, and because that was it. When you were ever going into a room with him or a little meeting, you're going, he's going to have you.
He's about to go.
Yeah. It was not because if you're going into one with him or say something to him, believe me, he was always so well prepared. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just Gareth, going back to Gareth's comment, I think what he means is that they had such a really good understanding and pairing between Declan and Kalvin, and they knew. And Kalvin's just been unfortunate that like he just didn't
find it back at West
He
Ham,
just couldn't get going, boss. And he's such a lovely lad, and it's so sad to see such a great lad.
I hope it doesn't destroy his career.
No, I think he'll be all right. He's strong enough, lad. He just needs to get away from Man City.
He's a new club and a new
just a new way,
a new goal.
Yeah. And I'm sure he'll be back in the England squad in no time. But I think if you're looking at anybody who's probably close to Kalvin, I think Kalvin at Man United is probably the ideal replacement to be someone who's as similar to him on the ball, all that type of stuff, but wants to get forward. But for me, I just think what the boss said before is drop Jude Bellingham back, put Phil in the 10. But let's be honest, England have had probably the top 2 teams in the world, played the best season for the clubs. So Man City and one at Real Madrid. So why would you take Jude Bellingham, who's just won the Champions League and La Liga, out of his favourite position where he's played all year for Real Madrid, who are the best team in the country at the moment, in the world? And then, but you're bringing Phil and you're dropping him back. So it is an experiment. But I
watched Man United. I watched Man City versus Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
not Bayern Munich. Real Madrid at the Etihad, and he dropped in all the time.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I've never seen Real Madrid play so defensively in my entire life, that game. And it was back. They didn't actually do an high press. They actually did a drop-off, play counter-attack. Yeah. And he was always back there then shutting down. So he could do anything, like you said. Yeah. So it's not going to be too difficult for dropping back to Declan Rice and play somebody else in the 10.
I think it'll just help Harry Kane if he's got an outlet on the left, because Harry Kane's always played his best games when Rashford's been on the left, or Sterling, someone who's going to go behind and
but Sterling and Rashford, like you were on that, are running. They like running in behind them too.
Yeah.
None of the not Saka or Foden like running in behind. I mean, they like get the ball to feet. Yeah. Harry doesn't run in behind. So then it's stalemate because everything's in front of the opposition, and the opposition are so good and organised now. There's no way through until they start getting the ball in behind, getting the playing in behind, down the sides, over the fullback's head, people running in there, timing the runs right. Harry can come deep then.
Yeah.
Do you think it's time to, if you want Harry to play deep, is it time to give him a partner?
It's not playing deep. He can come deep.
Yeah.
He starts up there and comes in here. Then he turns and goes, and then he gets himself in the box. Yeah. And that's what he's always done. So what we haven't got that he's got, or he's obviously had at Bayern Munich, or certainly had at Tottenham, was people running off that and stretching the opposition's defence, because they were starting to run past the defender. You start to run past the defender, you start dropping off. It creates more space. Yeah, Man City do it.
Yeah,
I love it. Man City doing it. They talk about all this play, and then it goes poof. Before you know it, they'll go like that or diagonally. A lot of the time, it goes from the goalie. He can go bomb straight in behind if he fancies it.
A couple of assists he has,
you know what I mean? So,
I think that's the main thing. What you're saying is
we're too predictable.
Yeah, and that's it's the predictability of what's going on, and we haven't got no one at the minute stretching You know, Saka can do it and has done it, but he doesn't do it regularly enough. Whereas a Gordon or Ollie Watkins on that left, because Ollie Watkins can play on the left.
Yeah.
He's done it. I was manager of Notts County when he was at Exeter, and he played off the left really times, and he comes off and he does it really well and just stretches. And what it does is then it opens up spaces for Harry then to drop in, Phil to probably be able to drop in. At the moment, Phil's dropping in and we're playing with sort of two number 10s with no one out wide, whereas we need that one just to be out wide. Whenever you were talking about Man City, you know, Doku or whoever it is, and Mahrez, you know, a couple of years ago, they always have that one who just stays out wide and create that problem, who's ready to go. And I think that's what we've just been missing. So dropping Jude back, bringing Phil in and putting someone who's just going to be directly wanting to go that way all the time. And we'll be able to do it because of Slovenia. We're 4 points. Why not? We've got to try something different and see if we can get the fluidity back in our play, really.
So in terms of trying something different, no minutes so far in the tournament for Cole Palmer, who we mentioned. Yeah. No minutes for Anthony Gordon, no minutes for Adam Wharton. They were sort of three of the kind of names that people were sort of, if they get a chance, people were really excited for them. By the way, my favourite tweet that I saw last night about Cole Palmer was somebody put, he spent all season dragging a mediocre team to victory, so this is the time to play him, which I thought was very good. So in terms of...
Where are you going to play him, though? Because he's not at his best on the left or the right. He's at his best in the middle. So there's, you know, so you've got an abundance of midfield attacking players that all want to play in there, which is not going to happen, is it? You know what I mean? So you play Cole Palmer outright. It's not going to be his favourite position in terms of the involvement he's had. You know, so
Anthony Gordon then?
Well, but it was better suited for a wide position because he's done that all year at Newcastle, hasn't he? So, you know, he's proven to lifted his game another level since he left Everton. So, you know, you end up looking at the situation. It's got to be balanced, hasn't it? Yeah. The team has to be happy playing in the position they're playing, or the player has to be happy. So that's his problem. He has to find that. They're talking now again back to Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard.
Well, square peg and round holes, really.
You know what I mean? About
to do different
Paul
jobs.
Scholes playing
Get
on
them
the
all
left.
in the job, you know.
You know, how could you play Paul Scholes on the left? Well, you had Frank Lampard and Steve Gerrard as well. Like, I mean, you go, oh, what a three that was.
I've got no sympathy by them.
No, there's not.
I'll
tell you what, this three are not better than them together. But they never got together and never played together. Yeah. They couldn't gel. Like, I mean, they're talking about that now. Whereas before, the harmony of the England cap looks really very, very united and very solid.
Well, they do. They're all mates now, aren't they?
So they all seem to be, you know, doing what they should do, which is, doesn't matter which club they come from, getting on.
I wasn't bothered when I didn't get England call-ups. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't. Because England didn't bother me one bit. I was just so interested in Bolton. I weren't bothered about England. And I can honestly say that now. When people say, oh, you should have got a cap, I'm not bothered. Because at that time, the way it was, it wasn't an harmonious group, if you like, you know, the way it was. Whereas when you speak to the lads now, they all stay in touch. You know, there was a north and south divide. Yeah. You know, when we were playing, it was massive. You know, and no one can take it away. There was a Man United Arsenal divide probably. Yeah. In the then obviously the couple of Liverpool players. So it was massive. So when I didn't want to go into that sort of environment. I'd heard about it. I didn't really. So I didn't think I was ever missing out on anything.
That is something that Gareth seems to have done
unbelievably, brilliantly. Yeah. Brilliantly, has brought everybody together, and it is. And I've got massive respect for Gareth and what he's done, as I said earlier. And, you know, I know Paul Nevin, one of his coaching staff, so I've got the insight of what he's trying to do and everything else. But, yeah, listen, as I said earlier on, we can sit here and we can criticise, but when you're in that hot seat, everybody, no matter what you do, every decision is going to be, and the gaffer will know that more than anybody.
So there's also maybe a slight mistake he didn't take Grealish.
Oh, yes.
Because, you know...
Just someone who knows.
You know, Palmer and that, they have no experience of international football. Jack's got it all in the locker. Yeah. So he's a calming influence when you give him the ball because he won't give it away.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he won't lose it, and he'll take it right up the other end of the pitch on his own and create. All right,
when
he
foul
might not score and get a foul for a free kick.
Foul free kick.
He doesn't score enough goals, we know that, but when you need to retain the ball, you know, give it to Jack.
I mean, I was looking, and I don't know if the stats, but the stats, since Saka has actually started, he's got the most goals and assists behind Harry Kane, and then it was Jack Grealish. So for England, you know, so you know, looking at that and what he has brought to the England team, I was very surprised he didn't go, but I could see why Gareth hadn't, because he hadn't had his best season. He always said he's going to take people on form, but sometimes you've got to make that allowance, you know, and especially with having the 26 man, I was really surprised he did leave him out, because again, in a game like that yesterday, he would have come on, and I think he would have made a difference down the left. Just again, as I said, just getting him up the pitch, you know, creating things and you know, getting fouls when you need to be, and that calm will influence what the gaffer's just said.
Well, someone he did take, and someone who's come on in both games, of course, is Jarrod Bowen, who you'll know very, very well. Is he one of the best you've worked with?
Yeah, he's a great lad. He's a great lad, and he works his socks off. And you can see why Gareth's took him out. And he was brilliant for us last season, West Ham. He was, you know, he scored the winning goal in the final, you know, the last minute, which obviously he'll always be remembered for at West Ham now. But yeah, I mean, look, he's
the bargain buy, wasn't he?
Unbelievable, yeah.
How much was
City?
21 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you can, you know, and the reason why I think because he trains every day, does it properly, does it well. You know, he lives his life right. He's got, you know, just had 2 kids now with his partner and everything, and you just want, you know, when you want someone to do really well, you know, the gaffer will tell you, you've got lads who you sort of get a bond with, but you want to see them doing well. So when I see him come on yesterday, and I thought he'd done all right again. Every time he comes on, he gives you a little spark, and he's something different to what Saka is. So yeah, I hope he continues to get minutes, because I'm sure he can add to this team definitely, and in that squad, because you're going to need the squad going through the season. So yeah, delighted for him, and hopefully there'll loads more caps to come for him.
So for our podcast listeners, nothing will change. But for anyone watching on YouTube, we're just going to take a little break, and the whiteboard behind us, we are going to change over from the team that played against Denmark to the team that Sam would pick for the next game. So this is Big Sam's starting 11 for the Slovenia game. For our podcast listeners, we will read this out for you. So it's Pickford, Trippier, Gay, Stones, Walker, Rice, Bellingham, Gordon, Foden, Bowen, Watkins.
So there you go. Everybody's going to say, why leave Harry Kane out? Well, we're nearly through anyway, aren't we? And it's just based on the fact that Gareth talked about, you know, he hasn't had much game time in 3 weeks or what. I just don't know where we lie in this game in terms of we're going to come across the same problems, you know, where they're going to defend first and then try and get at us later on. And these will defend even more than Denmark did. Because Denmark found that, look, we don't need to do all this defending now. If we go and shut them down, we're winning the ball back. So they went and did the job on England, and then actually played better than England did in the end. But this one will be about breaking that 11 down again to start with. I just think you're going to get runners in behind, and as we know, Watkins loves running in behind. Bowen could get in behind, and Gordon can get in behind either running with the ball or without the ball. So it gives a new... Foden picking the ball up there can take players on, beat them, and then smash it in the top corner. So if you've got a squad, you've got to use a squad. He's got 26, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So you have to be brave enough, irrespective of the criticism you might get, and back yourself with your staff that when this is finished, you'll have won the game, you'll have played a lot better, and there'll be more praise than criticism.
So your thinking is to give Kane a rest for this game?
I think so. I think that whatever has happened to Harry in the last 2 games has been like unthinkable. You know how few touches he's had, and the blame is coming from obviously that the system is not suiting him. The players who are on the ball are not finding him. But Harry has to take some responsibility for that himself.
I mean, looking at that with the gaffer, what he's put up there, Harry Kane being the focal point of that with them around, I think would then blossom because of what I think
Probably
he has
would,
been.
yeah.
So I think what's happened is that his channels have all been blocked because Foden's been coming in off the left and he's had Bellingham in the 10 and the playing sort of that. So him coming, dropping into them little holes, what he does, and have someone, you know, in the past, whether it be Rashford, whether it be at Tottenham when he had Son doing it, you know, that's what he's looking for that next pass because he's got unbelievable, but his touch and everything else and us getting the ball into him, with them behind them now, with Jude and Declan and Phil, they'd be able to find, I think, Harry a lot more, and it'd help his game as well. So, for me, I think you know that just screams out that he'd be a better player or a better player with them 5 behind them and around them, if you know what I mean.
It's really interesting. I think people are going to find that really interesting. I think a lot of people that are listening and watching Sam are going to totally agree as well.
Well, there'll be a lot done about that, but you know. But all I'm saying is, and I've said it before, some brave decisions you have to make. I've made decisions like that before, and then by the time the real decisions come down, I've gone back to nearly and haven't made quite as many of those changes I was going to do. So sometimes you're getting nearer the time, I may change my mind and say, well, having looked at Harry and having talked to him like I mean, because I wouldn't not just do that without talking to him. And he could persuade me to play him anyway because of who he is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's the captain and what he's done. So if he said, no, don't leave me out like I mean, so right, okay, then. So now he's under even bigger pressure, isn't he? To perform the way Harry Kane can perform. Yeah. Outstanding professional, outstanding player, you know, but goal scorer extraordinaire. But there is always a time for somebody where it might going quite well. You have to be brave enough to just, I call it give him a rest. Yeah.
And it's a good experiment, isn't it? Because you're seeing if something does happen to Harry later in the tournament, you know, Ollie will need the minutes in his legs as well. You know, we haven't even mentioned Ivan Toney either. You know, he's done really well. He done really well when he played, and him doing that job with the 2 lads going in behind. So, I mean, we know they've got an abundance of talent, but I totally get what the gaffer's saying.
I mean, I wouldn't play like that. I'd play like I've always said. I'd play with just Declan. Just Declan sitting here, especially against who we're playing against, and play him like that. Yeah. Because you could play Harry then. Because you'd be asking Foden and Bellingham to run behind Harry, or Gordon and Bowen. Yeah. So Harry could come in the hole himself, pick the ball up like he likes to. He's always come off Tottenham's line, picked the ball up, played it wide, got in the box and scored.
Why is he not playing like this? Because I've seen so many people on social media take Watkins out for a side, talk about this area, this fight. Why is he not doing this?
Well, probably because there's Bellingham the 10 there. So it's occupying space for him to come into. So, you know, he's such a, you know, if you're talking about, we're not playing to everybody's strengths, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So, you know, so that's, you know, Foden out wide is not playing to his strengths. The team itself saying it's not a team that wants to get in behind the opposition is making us struggle because we're only playing one way, and that's everything to feet. And then it starts getting slower and slower and slower. And then the fear takes over. The opposition start winning the odd ball and counter-attacking, and then all of a sudden they start backing off. And backing off, then the opposition get even better and better. And then we're happy we've got a draw. You know, and with this team, that's not acceptable. The quality it's got.
When you look at that, the way you've just done that now, Gaffer, I think, and we're talking about, you know, Jude, and said about the little story what I did, and he can play that, Phil can play that 8, and Deck can play that. And that's probably the best 3 we've got
at the moment.
In that squad. Yeah. And that would suit all of them the best, instead of Phil being out on the left and Jude being in the 10 and Declan being alongside someone else. I think we've got to find that chemistry with them 3, because there are 3 top players for England, and we've got to find that. And so, and there'll be at one point, you know, you see, and Phil, I've seen Phil at Man City running back, and tackling and getting involved and blocking shots. So Jude can be the 10 at that point there, when Phil can drop in, and then Jude can drop in, and Deck can shuffle. So it is one of them where it can just shuffle around at times, and I think it would suit them 3 players more than what we're seeing at this moment in time, and trying to get that fluidity back in the passing, and having that opportunity to get people in behind with a Gordon and with a Saka or a Bowen, and you know, and Harry coming off and dropping in, and people running in behind. So I think that just looks so much better. But you know, I agree with the gaffer, what he's saying there. I think that goes to it.
Why do you think that Gareth is not playing that way currently?
Well, I think Gareth's got his way of playing, and you know, and we did. You know, the gaffer did. He had his way of playing and what he wanted to do, and you know, he's unfairly criticised a lot of the time because of you know, how tactical he was and prepared he was for everybody. And I think he has his way, and I think he's wanting the players to sort of fit into what his way is, instead of sort of trying to adapt the players in and around it.
His coaches must have a say that way as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got to listen to your coaches, and you've got to say, Gaff, you can't keep playing like that. You've got to stop. But if they're going, yeah, carry on, they're more to blame than Gareth. We've got to say, we've got to change it. We've got to try something different with the players and with the system. That's why they're there. They're there to now, if Gareth chooses to take information and goes, you're 100% behind it, the gaffer's made his choice, we're right, we're off, that's it then. But the dispute is, and the talk is, should we keep playing this way? I think we shouldn't. I think we should do, Steve saying, I think we got to play like this, like, I mean, he's right-hand man, and other coaches around have got to sort of start saying he's struggling fatigue-wise. He's played 68 games this season.
That pitch was incredibly bad as well yesterday. Did you see how many slips there was?
The radio kept saying that.
It was so poor, and obviously, you know, it had that rainfall and all that, and they closed it. And it's different, Bosch. You'll know. Remember when we played the final in the Millennium?
Oh yeah.
And they closed the roof, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was totally different. The atmosphere, everything, felt a bit more, you know. And so, look, I'm sort of trying to make excuses up for Gareth here and the lads, because I want them to do well. And, you know, as I said, I like him. But I just feel this is really a game where he's got to sort of take some chances now and sort of experiment. And I think that's the big thing. Them 3 have got to play in the middle together. Everything in and around it, I think whatever you put, so whether it's Jarrod, whether it's Saka, Gordon, whether it's Eze, Kane being your number 9 or Watkins, but I think them 3, we've got to see that to get England rocking, really.
I'm also surprised, actually delighted about the standard of the whole Euros.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sat watching the football and been thoroughly excited by watching it.
So many good games.
Never mind being there.
Yeah.
What I mean, some of the quality and teams going for it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, not like starting a little cautiously, but in the end go, let's go and let's have a try. Like I mean, I think it's been good entertainment.
How many games have you watched now, do you think?
Gosh, wife's not seen me. 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock in it.
2, 5 and 8, yeah.
You know what I mean? So endless cups of tea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's for the wife.
Change.
Take her one up, with a biscuit, That's
in between the games.
Between the games, yeah.
And just change to the wine, does it?
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, yeah.
Got a glass of wine, then it gets into a cellar.
So that is Sam. What Sam would like to see, of course, we will find out what Gareth does. At the end of,
just want them to win well.
Yeah.
Just win well.
Honest, do you know what? I almost have a little bit of sympathy for England fans, because obviously as a Scotland fan, we're just really happy to be there. And if we got out the group, it would be absolutely incredible, and we enjoy absolutely every moment. But the pressure that it feels like England are under, and the expectation levels of the fans, it feels like it makes it hard for them to enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that's the same with the players, though. They feel it, and you've got to remember that as well. And everybody who's playing England, as I said earlier, they want to beat us. because you know these are it's the next golden generation. It's this, it's that. These are the best players.
When you're
all that type of
favourites,
stuff.
that's what happens.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they're probably favourites. How? Because France beat them in the World Cup. How were France not favourites? Because again, the expectation of what all those England fans
They stumbled a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. They
against
didn't find it easy.
Austria,
I
think that that's what I'm surprised about. The the probably lesser nations.
Yeah.
I've found some real good players with everything opening up across the whole of Europe and players travelling everywhere to play the football now, not just particularly in their own country. Gives them all the nations a better a better structure for.
Well, you watched the Czech Republic against Portugal the other night as well. And the Czech we had two of the boys, Sufal and Thomas Souček, who's the captain there.
Yeah.
They were all young boys. I think they've got the least amount of caps, but took Portugal to the brink. And we're very unlucky not to get something out of the game in the end. So it's not easy for all the when you look at Portugal, they're full of stars as well, and they've got their golden generation coming as well. So it's not easy. It's never easy, the game. So we let's not get too carried away. Let's stay behind them.
It's thoroughly enjoyable, and I plan to catch up on the games. I just watch as much as I can this weekend since I've been away. Okay, so Gunstrachan got it bang on Monday for Scotland. Let's do an England-Slovenia prediction, then Scotland-Hungary. So first, England-Slovenia. What is your predictions?
You want to go first?
I'm going for a 2-0.
England. I have to say that.
Absolutely, that'll be enough.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
2-0.
Scotland will be a 1-0 to Scotland against Hungary.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-0 England. I think they'll come out, and I think we'll have a nice positive performance, nice goals as well. And then if I'm going to go for Scotland, I think they're going to win.
Oh my God!
I actually do think they're going to win. I think they'll beat them and get through, which will be great to see as well. Because although I know the Scots don't like England, we like the Scots. So
I don't think there's there is a lot of
all the Scots. I mean, even
there is a lot.
Even the boss Moyes, and Billy McKinley, they used to love watching England, stutter. So they'll be loving it at the minute. I know they will be deep down. So yeah, I know it's all good play football.
Yeah, even Gordon Strachan slipped up last week.
Yeah,
He said
we.
Yeah. He went, did I just say we? What's going on?
He's currently having his Scottish status ripped from him now. If Scotland qualify, I cannot tell you what that would mean. The first time ever.
I think it's great for everybody, though, even in England, because there's a lot of Scots in England. It's great for everybody around, you know what I mean? And just to see them in the last 16 would be great. So yeah, I'm hoping they do get the win, and I think they will.
And I'm biased, but the best fans at the tournament. The tournament needs every
loving life, aren't they, at the minute, because they're there, yeah.
Loving life.
And what's really interesting, and I hope this is there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of trouble. And whether it's been covered up or not, but there's not that, I'm not just talking about an England fan, about all fans, because all fans have their own darker side.
Yeah.
Contrary to everybody trying to make out it's always England fans. It's not, a lot of stuff I've seen over the years when going abroad with the fans has been quite terrifying. But it seems to be about the enjoyment of football at the moment, and long may that continue.
I didn't see anything but people having the time of their lives, and the local people of Cologne loving it as well. Probably because of the amount of money that was being spent in their city. I've never seen as many men in my life walking around carrying crates of beer. Like the amount of beer that was drunk in Cologne. The Scottish love the beer, Sam. Okay.
Well, when it's €9 for the shop,
but it's good beer.
You'll be carrying.
I said I'm not laughing at them. Yeah.
Can of beer and a hot dog in it. That's it.
Yes, essentially.
Goes with football over here, doesn't it? Can of beer and a hot dog.
Yes, it translates that. Okay, just a couple of quick fire ones to finish the podcast. Is it true? So we love these. When we start with the guest. Is it true?
Somebody wrote this question in, asked for this question.
No. This is just, is it true that we've one of these things that we've heard and it involves you both?
Oh, really?
Is it one of these football rumoury myths things? And yes.
He probably won't remember because he's probably done it to a lot of them.
Okay, that is. You do know what I'm going to ask. Is it true that Sam once pinned you up against a wall at Bolton?
Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday, and we were training on the far pitch.
Right.
And I used to do a bit of team shape a couple of days before, and I wasn't in the team. And Stig Tofton was in the team, and he had Stig Tofton doing like all the things I'd done. And I was like, sort of, I'm not having this. Like, I was basically pissed off. Like, excuse me language, but like I was
you can say
fuming.
That
I was absolutely like, nah, I'm not having this. I was fuming. I'm like walking in, I'm going to see him and all this type of stuff. And I was like, I need to see him. So I've obviously sort of tossed the session off, right? And I was a young lad at the time. Sulked. I was sulking. Really bad. Spat me dummy out. Everything you can think of I'd done, and I was like, and he was asking me to pass the ball, and I'd pass it, but I'd do it like lethargically, and it was just wrong, yeah. And so anyway, I never done it again, let me tell you, because of what's coming up. So I remember I'm walking in, and we used to walk in. It was like a couple of pitches in between from where we did to where we got to the changing room. The gaffer's office was just there, and then our changing room was just off the bit. And as I was walking in, I remember taking my boots off, slamming my boots down into the boot room and all that. And as I was walking into the changing room, Nobby, come and see me in a minute. Yeah, I will, yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, I'll come and see you. I'll have you for this. Like, dropping me, like, what's going on? Like, obviously, the boy at the time, we like doing really well, thinking, why is he dropping me?
He was only young.
Yeah, I must have been. Yeah, I was 19. I was 19, and so So I walked in, put a different t-shirt on. Thinking, and all the lads are like, "You fuming, aren't you?" And I was going, "Yeah, I'm going to tell him now. I'm going to tell him." All the lads are looking at me, and I've walked in anyway. As I knocked on the door as I walked in. He's like he used to walk in, and the office was like there, and his desk was there, but he wasn't behind his desk, he was there. And I was like, yeah, I walked in, like sort of shut doors, I shut the door. I just felt these two hands, and I was like sort of up against the wall, and he went, "You ever toss my training session off again, you will know about it, son." And I went like that, I went, "That's what I've just come in to say, sorry, gaffer." Within an instant, I realised, I was like, I'm not getting out of here live if I say anything else. So, yeah, I apologise for being very poor.
Within 78 shots.
And that was the...
Thank God.
What
did you tell the lads when you walked out? Did you go, I told him?
Yeah, I went, he said, and he went, and then as he dropped me back down off because my 2 feet were just dangling off the floor then, because I was a lot smaller in them days as well, I was only 89 kilo or 90 kilo then, so he was, he pinned me right up, and obviously the big man he was then. It was a really good experience. As I walked back out, the lads like, "Oh, what'd he say?" I went, "No," and he just told me I was playing on Saturday, because he went out, as he's put me down, he went, "And by the way, you are playing. I just wanted to see you action, and I don't like it. If I ever see it again, you will be in a lot more trouble, lad." And that was it. And I never ever done it ever again in my life, in my career, ever. Whenever anybody told me I wasn't playing, I went harder. I went harder at everything, because I remember going back to Alan Shearer and his comments all day yesterday, and he dropped me for one of the games, and I went harder, and he went, "I was expecting you to go the other way." But that was something again he instilled in me. So I went harder in training, and wanted more, and ran better, and ran after the training session, just to show, I'm like, I deserve to be in that team.
Put me back in, yeah.
Yeah, get me back in that team. So yeah, it was a great experience. One experience.
Yes.
I look back on now with really fondly, but at the time, I absolutely bricked it.
I've never seen Scary Sam, and I hope to never see Scary Sam.
No, you don't want to see it. No,
never.
No. But there's sometimes, it was brilliant, because when we were he used to sit in the director's box and overlook it, and he had Sammy. I don't know, you obviously had Sammy, Sammy, and Sammy would be in the ear, and he'd be shouting, and Sammy would be telling things on the pitch. But if we didn't start right, or something didn't go right, you used to just see him come flying down, and all the lads knew he was coming. You could it was like you could hear him, you know what I mean, coming down the stairs. And I always remember, as he's coming down, I just looked over, and my dad used to sit right behind the dugout, about 4 rows in. My brother, my dad, my granddad, God bless, who's died now, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. And I always remember as he's going, I can just remember my dad going to him, "Go on, Sam, sort it out." Like, give him a little, like, and I'm thinking, "Oh, please, not me." And, you know, like, you just know, you can see him. And he's like, "Dad,
Dad, he doesn't need any encouragement.
And he comes down and he'd fly onto the touchline and he'd be like shouting for something to be happening. It was like, but looking back, you know, the incredible memories, yeah.
Love that. Couple of other questions before we finish. Were you ever close to playing for the Republic of Ireland?
No, well, I spoke to, it was Brian Kerr-Werner at the time, and Steve Staunton, Stan Staunton as well. I spoke to him a few times, and it wasn't directly my granddad or nan, it was my great granddad. So it had to be, because obviously Cascarino come out and said that he wasn't Irish and had all them caps, and so they changed the rules a bit. And yeah, we did try and I think try and get me an Irish passport, but yeah, it never worked out. Yeah, that spoiled it all. Yeah, for a lot of people. Yeah,
his mouth shut, doesn't he?
Well, he sold them all the books, didn't he?
Playing international football, like you get the chance to play international, that you can't otherwise, and you've got it through a grandparent. I think, you know. Yeah,
so yeah, because it wasn't me immediate grandparent. Because I had similar contact with the Dutch FA as well. They come because my great granddad was Dutch.
All right.
And they spoke to me, and that's when
I didn't know that either.
When there was Egg the Davids and all that, and Seedorf, yeah, they got into contact with me, and I spoke with them about going to one of their training camps. And when obviously because of that rule, because I was like, yeah, he is fully Dutch, and me nan's obviously half Dutch, but they were like, no, you've got to be like,
yeah,
you know, direct basically.
Okay, last question for today. Where does Kevin rank in Sam's list of his favourite players that he's managed? Not the best, your favourite.
Well, my favourite?
Yeah.
God, I can't be telling him.
Now you're making me go red,
yeah?
even though he's not going to answer me.
He's always been a favourite. I wouldn't.
I'm Lynn's favourite more than Sam's, I think.
I wouldn't give him the responsibility I give him if I didn't like him. And it's not just like him as a footballer, as a person, like me. So, yeah. Right. Yes. I have other favourites football-wise, but not an overall. The whole picture, Kevin's like, you know, it's always been a great relationship. Like, I mean, when I think he got released from Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he came to Bolton, and I think before I got there, the police centre half of it.
I've got another good story about
that. He'd never been a centre half in his life. Like, I mean, so.
That was one of the best. So I've obviously, the gaffer come in, I remember, you know, he had the tash in that, right? And he's come in first day all suited and booted, the way he is today, with just a jacket on and everything else. And I first met him, Phil Brown introduced us and said, oh, this is one of our youngsters who's just currently playing. And I was playing in the reserve team at the time. And I was doing quite well because I got promoted quite quickly. And then I remember him coming to watch us in a game, and I was like, obviously, like, you know, I'm going to impress, and the ball's come, and as it's come, I've like sort of run the nine underneath the ball, and chest they come out, played out, and I thought, again, the run down the line, oi, you, and I'm like, who's he talking to me? Head that thing, and I was like, I thought I played that well then. He went, and as he was walking off, he went, you're not a centre half to me, and I went, I was playing centre half for a year. I was thinking, what am I going to do? He's just going to release me. That was it. I've done.
Moved him up one.
Just moved me up. Yeah, and then that's when. Well, I was a centre midfielder before.
Then he came, but he was a goal scorer.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. He was a bit. He was a ghost runner. That was his strength, because nobody could see him, and then all of a sudden he's popped up in the box scoring. Just a bit like Frank.
A ghost
Lampard. A ghost. You couldn't know when Frank was. You didn't know where Frank was. You know, and then all of a sudden he'd pop up in the box and score. Kevin was like that. What was your best score? 12, 14?
12, yeah. 12 in the Prem, but I think overall, I think it was about 14, yeah.
So every year we had to, well, for a while it took us we had to wait a while till we found Nicholas Anelka to be the goal scorer we needed. But so everyone, we had to share them all out, like you mean. So Kevin's 10, 12, and you know, Jufis, all Stalios, all them, Kevin Davis, all had to go.
It was all 7+.
7, 8, 9, 10. You know what I mean? all together.
Centre halves had to get over 7 between them.
With their heads.
Within,
Set pieces, you know what I mean?
Set pieces through that. I'd have to get 7+, so we'd put the responsibility would be shared out between us all because we didn't have that direct. But then obviously when Nico come, he was phenomenal. And he was brilliant when he was brilliant to work with, weren't he? When he done,
Thank you very much for being here.
No,
today.
thank you.
Thanks for coming all that way, all the way from Nottingham.
All the way from
today.
Nottingham. Best of luck. We hope that you become our number 14. We very much do for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks again, Gaffer. Great to see you.
Good to see you, pal.
So,
safe journey home.
Enjoy the third round of final group games. We'll be back. We are filming next Wednesday, so or next Thursday. Is it? No, it's next Thursday. After the group games are finished, we are filming our next episode. We'll look ahead then into the knockouts. So thank you very much again for being here for a special Euro series that we're doing of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill.